Welcome. In this video, I'm going to talk about endocrinology course, and so because it's the first video about endocrinology course, so talk about the pituitary and its formation. So this is the formation of pituitary gland. So let's see. Um, as we can see that the formation of pituitary gland starts during the third trimester of development of an embryo, right? So that during that time, the 7th month, what actually happens is that you can see a rat case pouch from the roof of the mouth. A rat case pouch is formed like a bulb like structure that goes upward from the roof of the mouth. This is the roof of the mouth, and from here rat case pouch is formed which goes upward. Now this is the hypothalamus of the brain or the diencephalon, which forms another pouch like structure which comes downwards, right? It is joined to the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus, right? So a pouch like structure from a hypothalamus is formed, which is known as infundibulum. So it is coming down, and Rathke's pouch from the roof of the roof of the mouth is going upwards, right? So this you can see they are both growing, and then here in the third one you can see this is the roof of the mouth, and the Rathke's pouch had been separated, completely separated from the roof of the mouth. So here a whole pituitary gland has been formed. So this red region which is formed from the Rathke's pouch is had formed the adenohypophysis, while the gray area which is formed from the here we can see that the red region which has formed the from the Rathke's pouch had formed the adenohypophysis or the anterior pituitary, while the gray area which has been formed from the brain part, from the hypothalamus part or the infundibulum, has formed the neurohypophysis. The gray area is neurohypophysis which has formed from the brain. So we can safely say that the pituitary gland has actually two origins. Pituitary gland has two origins, or we can say that there are two different types of organs that have been kept together, right? One origin is from the brain part or the hypothalamus part, which has formed the hypothalamus has formed a neurohypophysis, and the other origin is the Rathke's pouch, which has formed from the roof of the mouth, right? So pituitary gland has actually two origins. Let's go to the next slide. So here we can see what's happening. It's the complete picture of pituitary gland, and if we need to know the names of the part, we can use this slide. So now we can safely say that this pink part, the whole pink part, is actually the part of adenohypophysis, right, which has been formed from Rathke's pouch, while the gray area is part of neurohypophysis. This gray area is neurohypophysis, which has been formed from the hypothalamus, right, from the brain part. So now if we need to talk about the parts, so the tube-like structure of the adenohypophysis is pars tubularis, this is pars distalis, and this middle part between the pars nervosa, or between the neurohypophysis and between the adenohypophysis, this green area is pars intermedia, right, a different part. We'll talk about that later. So this is pars tubularis, this is pars distalis. So these are both the part of adenohypophysis, right? So these pars tubularis and pars distalis are both part of adenohypophysis, while pars nervosa and infundibulus stalk, which is this tube-like structure, these two are the part of neurohypophysis, or the part of the posterior pituitary, right? So next, let's go to the next slide. Here we can actually see the detailed structure, right? The blood circulation and the neurons which are present, which actually controls the function of the pituitary gland. Those neurons and those blood circulation can be seen in this picture. So let's start from the neurohypophysis. So this is the neurohypophysis part, this one which is made from the hypothalamus, right, and this is the pars adenohypophysis which is made from the Rathke's pouch, right. So Now it is important to note here that you can see that there is different types of paraventricular nuclei, many such nuclei coming from the hypothalamus into the pars nervosa, right? There are many different neurons coming from the hypothalamus whose ends at the pars nervosa, while the pars distalis have some supraoptic nucleus coming from the hypothalamus, but they are actually not coming down till here, right? So it is important to note why. I'll tell you in a minute. Let's go to the next slide first. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So here we can see the detailed structure just about the posterior pituitary, the neurohypophysis. So it is important to know that the posterior pituitary doesn't so the posterior pituitary doesn't produce any hormone. No hormone is produced by posterior pituitary. The two hormones that comes out of posterior pituitary are vasopressin and oxytocin, right? Oxytocin and vasopressin are actually secreted by these neurons present in the hypothalamus, the paraventricular neurons. The paraventricular neuron, this one, these, and the supraoptic neurons present in the hypothalamus actually produces the vasopressin and oxytocin, right, which are present in hypothalamus. So these neurons actually secrete the vasopressin, oxytocin, and these hormones are just stored. Posterior pituitary just stores these hormones. So posterior pituitary actually secretes no hormones, but the paraventricular neurons and the supraoptic neurons of the hypothalamus secrete the oxytocin and vasopressin, which are known as posterior pituitary hormones, right? So let's talk about the anterior pituitary now, right? So we come back to the same slide again. So if we now talk about, we already know now that the posterior pituitary or neurohypophysis doesn't actually secrete any hormone, but the two hormones, vasopressin and oxytocin, are secreted by these neurons of hypothalamus, and these hormones are stored in the pars nervosa of neurohypophysis. While adenohypophysis, they secrete 5 different types of hormones, right? 5 different types of hormones. 5 hormones are secreted by these adenohypophysis or the anterior pituitary. So how that occurs? Let's see. So what actually happens, that the hypothalamus secretes hormone like TRH, thyroid releasing hormone. If hypothalamus releases TRH, thyroid releasing hormones, from these neurons of hypothalamus, so it's come into this circulation and then goes into the pars distalis through the circulation. So TRH or thyroid releasing hormone reaches the pars distalis of adenohypophysis through blood circulation, and the TRH then stimulates the adenohypophysis to secrete TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, which is a adenohypophysis hormone. Now this THS then goes to the thyroid gland and make them thyroid gland and stimulate it to produce the thyroid hormones, the T3 and T4. So we now know that the adenohypophysis is also controlled by hypothalamus, right? But in a different manner than how the pars nervosa and neurohypophysis is controlled. So this was just an example of thyroid hormone, where the hypothalamus secretes TRH, thyroid releasing hormone, from the supraoptic nucleus of hypothalamus, which comes to the and reaches the adenohypophysis through blood circulation and stimulates adenohypophysis cells to secrete TSH, the thyroid stimulating hormone, which have further functions. But in this manner, 5 different types of hormones are secreted by the adenohypophysis. If you want to see another example, I can show you. So the hypothalamus secretes GnRH, which is known as gonadotropin releasing hormone, right? So the hypothalamus releases GnRH, the gonadotropin releasing hormone, which goes into the circulation and reaches the adenohypophysis, and the adenohypophysis is stimulated by this GnRH to produce FS, FH and LSH, which is sorry, I wrote it wrong. This is hypothalamus. The hypothalamus secretes GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormone, which goes into the adenohypophysis and stimulates it to produce LH and FSH. FSH. The LH is luteinizing hormone and FSH is follicle stimulating hormone. So these two hormones are also adenohypophysis or anterior pituitary hormones. So we talked about the TSH hormone, and now we are talking about LH and FSH hormones, which controls the reproductive function on our body, these two hormones. So in this manner, other hormones are also produced by the adenohypophysis. We'll talk about all those in detail in the next video. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe my channel.